It's the Date Master. And yes, we're back again. We're back again to chop up the recent passing of former NBA player Adrian Payne. Looks like Adrian Payne, just reading the report here, was murdered. Was murdered earlier this week. Looks like Monday, trying to help a woman engaged in a domestic I guess a domestic dispute. He had his girlfriend in the car, and I guess the guy felt threatened and shot him. This is a cautionary tale for a lot of men. Like I said, you hear women know how to play on these narratives. You hear women say we're the least protected women on the planet. Every 5 hours, a black woman is murdered, etc., etc. You hear these narratives, but they're not put in the proper context. Before you guys go jumping out of the window, you need to ask, why is she having a domestic dispute with this man? And is this something that involves me? Is this family? Yeah, I would even say if it's family, you have some of your own sisters who will deal with toxic men, and you cannot prevent them nor sway them or persuade them to stop dealing with a man who has no plans for her. A lot of women, again, they just want to do everything their way. I've told you plenty of times, let them fall on their face and you get out the way, because there will be collateral damage. A woman does not like to fall by herself. She cannot sit in misery by herself. She cannot go through failure by herself. So if you see anything in this nature, whether it's an argument, domestic dispute, etc., even if it's family, please do not intervene. One would argue if it's your mother and father, again, even if that's the case, do not intervene, because you can lose your life. And if that person is justified in the shooting, depending on the state, I think this is Florida, if I'm not mistaken, it is a stand your ground law. But again, these cases can go either way. And this man could possibly get off scot-free. And within a week or two, she would be dealing back with the same man that you tried to protect or save her from. This is the irony. In our communities, we have a lot of toxicity. We have a lot of sensationalism around relationships that has an abuse element, a danger element, and I would call it a value element, which is basically the perception that we live a lifestyle of the rich and famous. These are the relationships that women seek because they think the most excitement is attached to them, not knowing the most danger is the most attached. One would ask why would a former NBA player who has nothing to gain in this case, who has no real connection, why would he risk his life to get in someone's business? In a lot of cases, especially in the age of information that is present and available, to not know what's going on in the black community or just society, not even say the black community, but society as a whole, when it comes to men and women as far as relationships, to not be aware. Ignorance is not an excuse. You do not get amnesty for ignorance. You need to be aware of the social climate, the political climate, and the economic climate in which you are in at all times. To be oblivious is to be potentially a victim, to where this man would not be aware. And again, all men are not aware to certain red pill ideology, certain climates, because they don't live in that reality. But here you have a man who has lost his life, and I believe he may have had a child. Trying to protect women that do not want to be protected is suicide. You're not going to gain anything from it, because she's going to be dealing with this same man. If this man gets off, she'll be back dealing with them within a few weeks, and your life is lost in vain. Is your life worth saving a woman from her own choices? Can you save a woman from her own choices? I think not. I mean, if you look at the destructive behavior that you see on the internet daily, one would ask, what type of influence was her dad? What type of influence has her father, grandfather, uncle provided to where you see the opposite in her behavior? So what make you think you can save her? What gives you the thought that you can save a woman from her own self? You cannot. There's a reason why they had songs and phrases back in the G that had, don't save her, she don't want to be saved, or stop trying to save her, you're a captain, save a hoe, and et cetera, because you cannot, it's an impossible task. I was listening to someone, I think it was on Red Supreme's panel the other day, and they was again speaking about the late Kevin Samuels and how he is looked, because he's still in the topics of conversation today. Even though he passed about a week or so ago, he's still in the topics of discussion because of his impact, his message, and his presence in the black community, and not even just the black community, but just the dating community in its entirety. This guy on the panel stated that he was not, he was never looked at to be the savior, but he was given credit and had a audience because of the attempt to save not just black families, but the nuclear family, the traditional family that raised balanced sons and daughters. If you look at the prison system, you look at the educational system, you look at a lot of people that are incarcerated, over a majority of them were fatherless. They did not have a father's guidance, discipline, or presence to steer them away from taking the wrong turns. We know from a statistic standpoint, fatherless homes create the people that we loathe today. The criminals, the violent offenders, these are all products of single father or single mother homes. The numbers are present. They show this, yet we are looked at crazy and told that we hate women when we hold women to this standard, because women, again, just want to do what they want to do without any consequence. And when the consequence comes, they like to virtue signal and scream how men are not present to protect them. You cannot get a man's protection without his critique or his provision, meaning his guidance, his leadership. You do not just get protection as if you were to call 911. They come and see about whatever problem or disturbance, and then they leave. This is how a lot of modern women look at men today, as disposable entities to come fix problems and leave. But in order to fix a problem, one must understand, you must assess and understand the problem that you're trying to fix. If you do not have a firm understanding of the problem, you will not have a firm and pliable solution or viable solution to said problem. You will just be running in circles, trying different things versus the thing that will work. You notice, these women, they speak about this conditional femininity. Well, if he's 7'10" and have $1 billion, I'll submit. Saying all this stupid shit. That he has to meet all of these unrealistic standards in order for them to be what they naturally are. They fight tooth and nail to make things difficult. You notice this? Most women, the smart women, the ones you see on social media living the lavish life, who they don't work. They just work out, keep themselves pretty. They're in Dubai. They're, across the world living in luxury because they just sit back and look pretty. The easiest job for a woman to do is say nothing. Sit back, look pretty, be respectful, and be supportive, and give great energy. That is it. And a man will do the rest for you. This is the craziest thing to notice, that women will fight tooth and nail against that because they would rather have their own independence, which usually will lead them to unhappiness. They would rather have their own independence and sovereignty over themselves because they just want to say they have the say so, versus sitting back being submissive, feminine, friendly, fit, and beautiful. A man would willingly step up and say, hey, you're operating in your essence. It's a reason why you get a certain feeling when a super feminine woman is in your presence. You feel this rush. That is your hormones trying to connect with hers. The pheromones of a feminine woman, they do something to a man. This is why men go crazy. Ooh, she's so bad. Ooh, you get this rush. And when a woman of lower femininity or, a little bit more masculine, you get a feeling of disgust. The same way women would speak about being around effeminate men, yet they have gay best friends. Make that make sense. They loathe or they try to shame men into being homosexual. In the meantime, celebrating homosexual men and have them as their besties, their confidants, their advisors, etc. I told you women are duplicitous creatures. They say one thing and they do the total opposite. Adrian Payne lost his life trying to protect a woman from her own choices, in which she will more likely make the same choices again. Why are men risking and putting themselves at risk for nothing is the question. It is a sense of a self, not self-worth, but it's kind of like a person filming themselves feed the homeless, or taking a picture of themselves giving a homeless person a meal, some money, or some type of gift or service that helps them. They want credit or a pat on the back. They want to be self-righteous about it. I always tell you, you play stupid games, you'll win stupid prizes. But I'm not going to harp too long in this video. You guys let me know what you think about this situation. Is a man's life worth saving a woman when she doesn't want to be saved herself? Like, comment, subscribe. It's the Date Master. Peace.